Welcome to Finding Your Way with Lori and Tonya. I'm Lori.
I'm Tonya.
And so today we're going to talk about a key to success is to take 100% responsibility for your life. You're the only person that can. And so we've learned a neat little formula for this, which is called E plus R equals O. And so all that stands for is the event plus your response equals your outcome. And we're going to talk a little bit more in detail and give some examples about some events that can come up in life. But really where we have the power to change that outcome is with the response, because events are going to happen. Big, small, it doesn't matter. Events are going to happen.
And events are all day, every day. I mean, you think about it, everything that happens to us from the moment we wake up until the moment we go to sleep is an event. And we are responding to events, or like I used to be, reacting to events daily, all day long. And I think when you take a time to learn what a response is and really start thinking about your response instead of the split-second reaction, but the little bit of pause and then an actual response, it changes your whole way of living. It's amazing what a response and how you respond, and being really intentional about that response can change your life.
Yeah, because events are happening, like you said. So the other part of it is not just realizing how you're responding, but actually understanding that everything's an event. So anything from you get in the shower and there's no hot water that morning. That's an event that you can choose what your response is going to be to that, all the way up to something huge like a divorce or the loss of a loved one. It's the whole spectrum of every single thing during our day is an event. And so once we start realizing that, we realize that we have more control on our lives than if we didn't think about it this way. And so that's why I like it, is because it gives us some semblance of control over, how our life is. And to really live your best life, you've got to have those outcomes that are more in the positive and the more favorable, versus having outcomes which don't make you feel good. And so, an event for me a lot of times is traffic and getting stuck in traffic. And my 20-year-old self, golly, I think they made the word road rage based on my reaction to traffic in the past. And nowadays, I really don't look at it like that. I can choose to respond that way and get angry that I'm stuck in the car and that people aren't going and I'm behind a tractor or whatever the situation is. Or I can chill and I can lay back and listen to my music and be so grateful for that extra few minutes to enjoy my music, enjoy my podcast, talk to a friend, that kind of thing. And also the other thing I do with traffic now, and I think it's because I've changed my response, is, oh, goodness, thank you so much for protecting me from whatever I would have come upon had I not been stuck in this traffic. And I think it just puts a whole different perspective on it. So your outcome is you get to work and you're having a good day and you're in a positive frame of mind. Whereas in the old Lori, back in my 20s, I'd get to work mad as fire because I had gotten stuck behind somebody or people were going slow and things like that. So something that simple that all of us sort of deal with daily just is an event that you can choose your response, which then leads to what your outcome is going to be.
Right. And you got to work the same time. No matter which way you responded, you got to work the exact same time. And I think that that's what we have to keep in mind. I used to be the worst person about standing in line. It was always a waste of my time. I was toe tapping and huffing and just, oh my God, are they really paying with money? What is this? I mean, oh my God, a price check. Like I was always in my head I'm sure there was just my brow was frowned, I'm sure, and I just wasn't very pleasant. And once I really kind of got a hold of this and really started thinking, okay, A, there's a reason. Now I don't mind standing in line no matter how long the line is. I mean, I'll look around, I'll see things I didn't see before, I'll speak to the person in front or behind me, I'm listening to conversations that I can kind of laugh or giggle over because they're funny to hear like other people's thought process or how they engage with each other. And again, I'm not going to get out of that line any quicker whether I'm upset and mad about it or whether I'm smiling and saying hello to people. It's the same amount of time. And when I walk away with whatever my purchase is, I walk away in much better mood. So what's whether I walk away mad and angry or in a great mood, it's the exact same amount of time. And so I think that's where, when the rubber meets the road and how you respond to things, that makes the difference for real.
Yeah, so the two examples we just gave, it made a difference in how our day went from there forward, but it's also interaction with other people. So say I get in the shower after my husband and there is no hot water, and so I'm having to take a cold shower, I could rail on him, which I'm not pleased to say I have done before. I'm sure all of us can relate. Like, you get so mad and just, stomping your feet and fussing about it and that kind of thing. Or you could just take a quicker shower and it speeds up your process, and you got something to be grateful for because now you got extra time in your day. And I think you had an example of how your response then affected your children too.
Yeah. So for me, I think when I really started practicing this and really realized, okay, I do have control. I might not control the event, right? It's going to happen. Whatever happens, happens. We can't control that, but the outcome we can control by controlling our response. And I remember it really vividly. It was an entire different energy. Seth, who's now 13, I think at the time, he was probably 10 or 11, and had opened the pantry to get some peanut butter out and knocked off a jar of spaghetti sauce, which shattered on the floor, completely shattered everywhere. We have white cabinets. It was everywhere.
Anymore.
No. And his immediate reaction was, "Oh my God, Mom, oh my God, I'm so sorry, because he was anticipating the old Tonya. And don't get me wrong, there's sometimes I'm not perfect at this, but my reaction, I didn't react, I responded. And I said, you know what? It's okay. It's all right. Are you cut? Are you okay? Nobody's hurt. We're fine. Okay, let's get some towels. We'll get it cleaned up. It's not a big deal. It was not expensive. It's not, we can clean it up. It's not going to hurt a thing. And it was almost this huge sigh of relief for him. I think he was shocked that I had not just lit into him and was, and was ugly and angry, and it totally changed the whole energy in the room. Like, he exhaled and breathed, and then he was like, okay, I'll get some towels and we'll get it cleaned up. And we did. And again, it goes back to, the mess was made. That's not going to change. We're going to have to clean it up. That's not going to change. But the manner in which we spoke to each other and that I handled it, it really, the outcome for both of us was much more pleasant than had I reacted and not taken a minute to respond.
Yeah, it really is that just shifting from a reaction to a response. That's the key to it. I've had an example at work where we had a contract with another organization, and they decided midway through that they didn't want to continue. And so I had staff that were managing that contract. And I remember, like you said, you remember it so vividly because they came to me and they said it was like they were so tense at what my reaction was going to be, just like you were talking about Seth was with you. And they were so tense. Oh, we don't want to tell you this, but they've decided to pull out of the contract. And instead of reacting, which I'm sure I've done in the past, I said, well, okay, well, let's think about this. What are the positives of this? And that's not the only way we can get the work done, right? We can figure out a different way. And you can just see the body language and feel the relief just from that response versus an angry reaction. That then what I'm hopeful for is that they saw me do that, and they learned how to be a better leader because of that. Same thing with Seth. He now, when he goes and raises children, maybe he's learning those things from you, so that then he responds differently in his life and has a much more calmer environment and a better life.
Right. And I have not always been that way. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, there's always been kind of an edge to, and mom, 3, working
a lot.
It's a lot. And so I am still not perfect, but I will say that I have de-escalated our house quite a bit over the last couple of years from doing this work and from taking some of these tools and really trying really hard to work them for sure.
Yeah, and so those are like all kind of daily kind of things. Those are kind of things that we've explained so far. Really, anybody should be able to relate to because it's sort of like daily life. But it also is, when we say an event is an event is an event, it's everything from the small things all the way up to really big things. And right now in our world, we're going through pandemic, where there's a lot of shelter in place orders. We're having to do things differently than we usually do by maybe working from home or being laid off, or having a hard time getting food for your family and things like that. And they're heavy. It's heavy things that people are experiencing. I've had the opportunity to sort of be a consultant, I guess. I don't know how else to say it. People that are worried about things and being able to help them and to calm them down. And what an opportunity that is, because I've done my inner work and my spiritual work. I feel like I'm at a really calm place during this time. Like I'm steady. Of course, everybody's got roller coaster emotions and things like that. But for the most part, I do see it as an event that I can have control over how I respond to it. And a lot of people just aren't in that place. And so that's a part of this video, is we want to share what we've learned with you, because it's made such a difference in our lives. You don't have to react. You don't have to automatically get anxious and fearful. You can choose to respond in a different way. And I know it's difficult when you maybe don't feel like you have the tools to do that, or maybe you haven't learned the tools. But hopefully what you take away from this video today is there is a way to pause for just a second. There's a space between when the event happens and your response. There's that space that you've got all the opportunity in the world to look at it differently, to respond differently, and therefore it's going to improve your outcome if you're able to do that.
And I'll say, this pandemic has really spotlighted that a lot for me. And I've talking to friends, by day I'm a recruiter, and I've done it for 25 years and I love what I do. But I will say, when companies stop hiring and they start laying off, that changes my job, and that changes that I don't get paid, or get paid much less. Having my higher college freshman home months earlier than anticipated, and now in a house with all three boys 24/7, and being responsible for cooking meals because there's no eating out. And a lot of this, it's tough, it's difficult. There is, hey, where's my mortgage coming from? Where's my car payment coming from? So I feel those things, and talking to friends who are sometimes in the same situation, some are not. And I've had one or two ask me, are you not worried about this? Are you not stressing? And I've got to say, first of all, I work for an amazing company who really is making a conscious effort to take care of their employees, and to make sure that we can survive and that we're going to be okay. So that is phenomenal. But secondly, my response is, I can't control it, right? I can't control that there's not going to be a paycheck of what I'm used to. So what can I control? I can control how I spend it. I can control the manner in which I stress or not. And so I've just chosen not to stress about it, because I can't change it. And when I am in my house 24/7 with others, my stress level, if it's high, if I'm anxious, if they can hear that and feel that energy from me, that is going to be the same boat they're in. And I don't want to do that to them. And it doesn't feel good for me either. So honestly, being able to respond differently and just not stress about it, I just have a knowing. I have a knowing deep down that it's going to be okay. It's not going to be perfect, but we're going to eat, we're going to be fine, and it's going to be okay. And so I think that being able to control that response for me has really made this really bad time for everybody. At least for me, not as bad as what it would have been if it had happened 3 or 4 years ago before I started practicing some of these things.
Yeah, I think the first step is, you know, the situation, the big global situation is an event, but then you've got events all during your day that they're atypical, right? Same thing with me. Same thing with most people, I'd say. And so once you know that everything's an event, that you get to choose how you respond to it, then it's, okay, how do you change from being reactive to responsive? And I'd say the big game changer for me was taking a breath, like when you feel yourself getting worked up and going to that reaction, taking a breath and going back to gratitude. Like, what am I grateful for? And what's the good in this? What's the silver lining? There's got to be a positive in here. There's got to be something that I can hold on to and not go straight to that negative reaction, because most reactions are negative. Your outcome tends to be more negative when you react, and very quickly, without thinking and without processing and without being purposeful and intentional about your response. And I do feel like, because we've been working on this, you and I, for a long time, that it does get easier to do it and easier to catch yourself when you haven't done it.
And you identify, and I'll call myself out on them, like, whew, probably not my finest moment. Now, how can I back up and fix it? Because I've totally reacted, and now I need to apologize for that reaction. And sometimes that apology is to myself, right? Because it didn't affect anybody but me, but I can feel it change my energy. So sometimes I have to go back and say, okay, that was a reaction. Now let's flip the switch on that. So I think more than anything, we just want you to know that this is something that is in your control. Your reaction or lack of reaction and response is in your control. And so, as people who have been in where most people are right now, and we've practiced and we've learned, we just want to be able to share that with you guys, and we're here to help. We've got a Facebook group called the Positive Vibe Tribe. Please join us there. We've got highernavigation.com, which is our website, and we can answer questions there. And we've got a highernavigation@gmail.com as an email address for us. So if you've got questions, if we can help, send us an email. We're happy to assist. Yeah,
that's right. So hopefully everybody feels the power in this. You feel the power in being able to choose your response, thus empowering your outcome.
All right, guys. So y'all have a good rest of your day. We hope this helped. If so, share it with somebody. Like, share, subscribe. Thank you.